Discipline is doing something despite being lazy. You have to experience laziness to be disciplined. Hello, my wonderful crew members, newcomers, but most importantly, my beloved OGs. Welcome to another rambling session. I'm your host, Lucy, aka Lucifer, and I'm a former obese girl turned bodybuilder. In this video, I want to talk a bit about what I think people misunderstand about the nature of discipline, what it actually is, and how it functions. I also want to throw in my 2 cents about motivation and why it is not at all a contributing factor to you achieving your goals or not. Before we get into it though, let me implore you once again to board our ship and hit the subscribe button. Our crew really needs more members, and how can we become the most badass crew on the platform without you? So, strap in and enjoy the ride. Now, without any further ado, let me tell you about how motivation is a pitfall and how discipline may not be what you think it is. Ah yes, motivation. Everyone who is starting a fitness journey is talking about it. And so is everyone who is failing their fitness journey. For a while, I was helping someone with their weight loss ambitions. And while she started strong, after a while she stopped sending in check-ins or updates. Later, she came back to me and she told me that she had just lost motivation and that she would just have to get back into it and keep being motivated so she could achieve her goals. I told her right away that that is a futile endeavor. It is a truly impossible task. Motivation is fantastic, and by all means, get motivation any way you can. But know that if you truly want to progress, if you truly want to succeed, motivation needs to be one thing and one thing only. And that is completely irrelevant. Yes, motivation is wonderful, and I, again, would encourage people to get motivated to achieve their goals. It certainly makes things more fun and enjoyable. It's also making it easy, and that is why people primarily look to motivation when they're trying to make a change. But that's just trying to avoid the hard part, the mandatory part, the part that's actually challenging when trying to stay consistent with anything. Doing things when you don't want to do them. If you're doing something when you already feel like doing it, the difficulty is entirely removed. A lot of us want to change and adopt better habits, and yet we still avoid adversity at all costs. That's why there is such a market for a bunch of shortcuts that simply don't work, because people want to believe in them. Want to get abs while sitting on your couch and eating Cheetos? Buy our little electronic things that will shock your midsection every once in a while. Want to eat healthier but not give up binging on snacks? Just buy the ones they slap the word fitness on, even though it's the same ultra-processed slop just with slightly better macros. If you really want to become a person that can do hard things, then you have to start doing the things precisely when they are hard. The same way you won't get better at playing chess if you don't repeatedly play chess. The attitude has to be, man, I can't wait to actually drag myself out of bed when I really don't feel like it and I'm super tired and I'm gonna do it anyway. I can't wait to have that victory. I can't wait to practice the thing I want to get good at. Because guess what? Getting good at something actually makes it easier, not avoiding it. But let's talk about discipline. Discipline is a topic that has been discussed a great many times inside and outside the fitness space. Discipline is the only thing you really need to get good at anything. Having motivation and talent is great, but even the most unmotivated and untalented person can still at least achieve moderate levels of proficiency at anything they choose via, you guessed it, discipline. And what even is discipline but the ability to execute repetition regardless of how much desire you have to actually do that at any given moment? Repetition or consistency is what gets you results after all. I think this is a great moment to quote the great Zenyatta once again.
Repetition is the path to mastery.
I might have to get some Zenyatta quotes tattooed, I think. Not gonna lie, some of the stuff bro said gave me hope in some dark times. Overwatch really was the last great game of the Blizzard of old. I miss you, Daddy Jeff. If you know, you know.
This is Jeff from the Overwatch team.
Discipline is the very first thing you need to aspire to if you want to achieve your physique goals. Motivation leaves your success and consistency up to chance. Discipline guarantees it. Some people may have a greater affinity for discipline, but most people don't just spawn in with perfect self-control. Yet, even the laziest and most undisciplined person can turn themselves into a discipline maxed gigachad. Because discipline isn't some ambiguous character trait that you have or don't have. It's like bravery. Bravery is doing something despite being afraid. It's not brave to do something when you're not afraid. There has to be fear for bravery to exist. You can't be disciplined while you're motivated. It doesn't take any discipline to go to the gym when you already feel like it. Discipline is doing something despite being lazy. You have to experience laziness to be disciplined. That's why it kind of pisses me off when people say, "Oh, I wish I had your discipline," as if it didn't take me working my way up over years to the point that now, weighing my every meal out is second nature. I never miss a day at the gym. To live my life by such a strict routine. And for it to now take little to no struggle to live like that didn't just come to me. It took years of practice. I'm a person that was raised in a hoarder home, without routine, structure, or care. I couldn't get myself to go to appointments or even do my homework. I was the person that couldn't log in to save her life. A complete and utter lack of discipline was my biggest flaw for the longest time. It is kind of embarrassing to admit, but it took me longer to become a functioning adult than most people. And that largely came down to my severe lack of discipline. When people imply that discipline is something people just have or don't have, it undermines the effort people, myself included, have gone through to achieve any level of discipline. When people say, "I wish I had your discipline," it's a complete cop-out, because framing it in a way that implies that it's something you just happen to have or not have removes any and all responsibility from themselves to fix their own lack of it. When you say, "I wish I had your discipline," I say, stop wishing and start doing. Because if you don't start doing, clearly you're not actually wishing. Because you can indeed have all the discipline you want. All you have to do is reach out and take it. Now, how do you get disciplined, you may ask? And the answer is relatively simple and surprisingly very science-based. You know how you train your muscles? You lift a weight, and after lifting the weight often enough consistently, it feels lighter. It's not as hard anymore, and now you can lift bigger things. Well, discipline is exactly like that. The first time you drag yourself out of bed at 6 a.m. to do cardio, it's going to be exceptionally uncomfortable and hard. The 25th time is already going to be much easier. And before you know it, you wake up before your alarm, and your whole morning wouldn't feel right without doing it. Discipline can be a tool to make the hard things in life become a lot easier. And whenever they are still hard and you feel like you don't want to do them, well, now you have the discipline to do them anyway. Discipline is a muscle you can train. Laziness is a reason to exercise discipline, not an excuse not to. So if your response to someone proposing a positive change to your routine is, "Oh, I'm too lazy to do that," then know that if that's all that's standing in your way, that is a very fixable thing. It's entirely down to whether or not you want to fix it. That's actually another thing. It's like, I wish people would be honest and say, oh, I don't want to do that, or that is not my thing, rather than making excuses for it, like, oh, I'm too lazy, or this and that. Because if it's not in your heart to do it because you don't want to, just say that. Because again, people come up with excuses that are not even excuses because they're so easily fixed. I said earlier that this is science-based, and it indeed is. There have been many articles and studies about this, but I don't understand neuroscience well enough, and I'm not confident in my ability to accurately actually explain that very well. So I will link a bunch of resources in the description of this video if you want to actually learn more about the neuroscience of it, or like how that actually works in your brain. Discipline to me is arguably the single most attractive and respectable trait in a person. That and honor/loyalty. Being disciplined means taking control of yourself, not being a slave to your impulses. It's the ultimate strength you can have as a person. Or maybe I feel that way because it was the key thing I was lacking for most of my life. And I had to claw my way out of being the most impulse-driven, self-control lacking, emotionally unstable slob. It really took some hard lessons for me to even take an honest look at myself and admit to the glaring character flaws I had. That can often be the hardest thing because it feels shameful. Yet, that is what is necessary to change. You can't fix a problem you won't admit exists. I'm just gonna intersect here with a little unscripted story time because it is very relevant to this topic and kind of ironic. I think irony is the correct word in this sense, but there's some level of irony to me making this video. Because I was in a relationship once, and my partner at the time was criticizing me for being undisciplined, essentially. And I didn't see it like that at the time. And he was the type of person who would always watch these motivational speakers and people talking about discipline. And granted, I was a very different person back then, but I always thought it was so cringe and so lame. And I'm like, that doesn't do anything. Like, I just did not get behind the whole thing. I just didn't understand it. So yeah, he was criticizing me for various undisciplined behaviors that I was displaying. I eventually, in my life later, found myself in a different relationship. And at that point, I already had become significantly more disciplined than I used to be. And I found myself to be saying the same things that came out of his mouth to my partner then at the time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I get it now. Like, now I was basically in his shoes. And I was like, damn, it's an interesting feeling to look back at a past relationship where you have been criticized for something, or someone broke up over something with you, and then to grow up to learn that, yeah, you were definitely not on the right there, or you actually did, like, they were correct. It's kind of difficult. It's something difficult to admit to yourself. But yeah, I remember, wow, I was just not there at the time, I guess. And now, having come full circle, sitting here as a bodybuilder, talking about discipline, trying to motivate you guys, when I was the person making fun and thinking nothing of people like the person I am today. So that's some irony there. But I feel like now I'm starting to drift a bit off topic from this video's theme. But how about you? Have you ever tried to improve your discipline with something? How did that go? Have you ever found yourself making excuses as to why you can't put any effort into improving your lifestyle? Tell me all about it in the comments below. I really love to read your guys' stories. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and join our beautiful and badass crew. We are definitely in need of more strong and disciplined members such as yourself. It will be our honor to have you on board. it also looks like we'll be able to have members soon on this channel, so stay tuned for that. I have already recorded a little video because I got AI fished on Tinder. That was an interesting thing that happened this week, and it was certainly irritating. But yeah, I figured I'd make a little bit of a random addition, I guess, to my videos. But yeah, that will be a little extra that's gonna be for the members as well. For now, I will conclude this rambling session. I hope you enjoyed it. I am gonna love you and leave you, and I very much hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye. I'm your host, Lucy, aka, can you stop that with the chair? Thank you. I also want to throw in and why it is not at all a contribuable I also want to throw in my 2 cents about to board the ship and hit the subscribe button. Smokey, stop that. Smokey! Later, she came back to me and she told me that she had just having motivation and talent to live my life by such a strict to live my life by and for it removes any and all responsibility from themselves to fix their own fuck, I cannot say this goddamn sentence, what the hell. Removes any and all responsibility from themselves to fix their own lack of it. Goddamn. The answer is actually relatively simple and surprisingly. If you enjoyed this video, please consider